She was the first woman to climb K2 without oxygen, then vanished without a trace on another mountain. No one knows if she reached the summit or if she was left behind to die. But here's the most chilling part. Her last known words were, "I feel great. I'll be back in 2 days." She never returned. This is the story of Wanda Rutkiewicz, the most legendary Polish mountaineer you've never heard of. May 1992, Wanda Rutkiewicz was attempting her 9th 8,000-meter peak, Kangchenjunga, the third highest mountain on Earth. She was 49 years old, alone, exhausted, and malnourished, yet determined to summit. The last person to see her alive was Mexican climber Carlos Carsolio. He had already reached the summit and was descending when he found Wanda resting in a small snow cave, just 250 meters from the top. Carlos begged her to descend with him. The weather was turning. She looked frail, gaunt, underfed. She was moving slowly, but Wanda refused. "I feel great," she insisted. "I'll reach the summit tomorrow. You go." That was the last time anyone saw her alive. What happened next remains one of the great mysteries of mountaineering. Did she reach the summit and die on the way down? Did she perish in the snow cave, alone in the death zone? Or did something else happen? Something darker? In the years since, climbers have found bodies on Kangchenjunga. Some thought one might be hers, but the clothing didn't match. No camera, no journal, no trace. To understand how a woman who once conquered Everest could vanish so completely, we have to go back to where it all began, to the story of a war child, a rebel, and a woman who would go on to challenge not just mountains, but the very culture of climbing itself. Before we dive into this story, if you're new here, welcome. This channel is all about untold true stories that are stranger, darker, and more human than fiction. We're still small, but every like, comment, and subscriber helps us make more of these for you. So, if you love stories that stick with you, hit subscribe. Now, let's get into it. Wanda Rutkiewicz was born in 1943 in Plunge, Lithuania, at the height of World War II. Her family fled west as the Soviets advanced, eventually settling in post-war Poland, where scars of the conflict lingered everywhere. Her childhood was marked by instability, but nothing shaped her more than the death of her younger brother, Wojtek. They had been playing with a live grenade, a leftover relic from the war, when it exploded. Wojtek died instantly. Wanda was just 5 years old. From that moment, she changed. Her family said she became harder, more independent. She buried her emotions deep, and perhaps, without knowing it, she began preparing herself for a life defined by pain, isolation, and survival. As a teenager, Wanda excelled in everything she touched, especially sports, volleyball, athletics, physics. She earned a degree in electrical engineering, one of the few women in her field at the time, but her life changed again, by chance, on a broken-down motorcycle. She was riding as a passenger when the engine stalled in the middle of a remote mountain road. A stranger helped push the bike to safety. That stranger was a climber. They started talking. He invited her to join a local climbing club, and Wanda said yes. That moment, a random breakdown on a mountain road, would ignite a lifelong obsession, and what began as weekend climbs in the Tatras would soon evolve into record-breaking ascents on the deadliest peaks in the world. In 1978, Wanda set her sights on the highest mountain on Earth, Everest. Back then, only a handful of women had ever reached the summit, fewer still without oxygen. For Wanda, it wasn't just about making history. It was about proving something deeper, that she belonged. The expedition was brutal. Wanda suffered from anemia. Her oxygen levels were dangerously low, but she refused to be carried or helped. She pushed ahead, alone, slowly climbing into the death zone. And then, on October 16, 1978, she stood on top of the world. Wanda Rutkiewicz became the first woman to summit Mount Everest without supplementary oxygen. But what makes this even more surreal is what happened just hours earlier. While Wanda was ascending Everest, news broke in Poland that Cardinal Karol Wojtyła had just been elected Pope. For a country steeped in Catholicism, it was a moment of divine national pride. Wanda's name was mentioned alongside his on the radio. A Pole on the roof of the world, and a Pole on the throne of St. Peter. It felt symbolic, poetic, as if Wanda had not just climbed a mountain, but had been lifted there by something greater. The media made her a hero. In Poland, she was immortalized overnight. But fame wasn't what she wanted. If anything, it embarrassed her. What Wanda craved wasn't attention, it was altitude, the solitude of the mountains, the clarity of purpose found only in hardship. And so, while others celebrated, Wanda began planning her next climb. She wasn't done. She was just getting started. By the mid-1980s, Wanda had her sights set on a new challenge, K2, the second highest mountain in the world, and by far the deadliest. For every 4 climbers who reach the summit, 1 doesn't make it back. In 1986, Wanda joined an international team to attempt the climb. The expedition was grueling, the weather turned violent, avalanche warnings loomed, other teams turned back. But Wanda kept going. On June 23, 1986, she made history again, becoming the first woman ever to summit K2. But it came at a price. 2 of her closest climbing partners, Liliane and Maurice Berard, also reached the summit that day. But during the descent, they vanished into the storm. Days later, Maurice's body was found. Liliane was never recovered. Wanda was devastated. The loss haunted her. Before leaving the mountain, she placed a small memorial under a rock near base camp. On it, a note, "They were my friends. They died after a great victory." It was a reminder that in the Himalayas, the line between glory and grief is razor thin. Back home, journalists asked her how she could continue climbing after so many friends had died. Her answer was simple and chilling. "Each person who dies in the mountains," she said, "dies their own death." For Wanda, the mountains weren't just a test of endurance, they were a spiritual battleground. She wasn't afraid of dying up there, she was afraid of living a life without meaning. And so, with 8,000-meter peaks already behind her, she set her most impossible goal yet, to climb all 14. In 1 year. By 1990, Wanda Rutkiewicz had achieved more than any female climber in history. But it wasn't enough. She set herself a new goal, to become the first woman to climb all 14 of the world's 8,000-meter peaks. And she wasn't going to take a decade to do it. She planned to climb the remaining 6 in just 1 year. She called the project Caravan of Dreams. Her friends were alarmed. Her health was declining. Her body was worn down from decades of altitude and trauma. But Wanda pushed forward, fueled by a deeper force, one that had little to do with fame. She had become estranged from much of the climbing community. She often went on solo expeditions. Sponsors grew reluctant. Some questioned her mental state. But Wanda didn't care. The mountains were her home now, and she didn't just want to finish the 14 peaks. She wanted to do it her way, alone. She successfully climbed Cho Oyu, then Annapurna, the deadliest of them all, 2 more down. Next on her list, Kangchenjunga. It was May 1992 when she made her final radio call. Her voice was calm, focused. She said she was aiming for the summit in 2 days. "I feel strong," she insisted, then silence. The storm hit. Days passed. Rescue was impossible. And when her body was never found, the rumors began. Did she summit and die on the descent? Did she fall into a crevasse? Did she choose to disappear? No one knows, and no one ever will. Wanda Rutkiewicz had always said she wanted to die in the mountains. And maybe, in the end, that's exactly what she did. Years after Wanda's disappearance, climbers spotted a body high on Kangchenjunga, frozen, unmoving. They thought it might be her, but the jacket didn't match. There was no ID, no journal, no camera, no trace of the woman who had once stood on Everest and K2. the body was left where it lay. To this day, Wanda Rutkiewicz's remains have never been found. Some say she reached the summit and died descending. Others think she turned back and was swallowed by the storm. A few even believe she survived, descended on the Tibetan side, and chose to vanish into a monastic life. But the truth is, we might never know. What we do know is this: Wanda changed mountaineering forever. She shattered expectations in a sport dominated by men. She showed what it meant to endure, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. But she also paid the ultimate price. Her story is not just one of triumph, it's a story of obsession, isolation, and sacrifice. Of what happens when a dream is pursued not just to its limits, but beyond them. Wanda once said, "I love the world above the clouds. It made me feel alive." And perhaps that's why she never came back down. Thanks for watching until the end. I love to tell the story of Wanda. If this story hits you too, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. We're building a small community here of curious, thoughtful viewers, and I'd be honored to have you as part of it. Until next time, take care and stay curious.